The transaction really takes place not between a buyer and a seller, but between a seller's attorney and a buyer's attorney. The contract gets generated by the seller's attorney. If you are selling your time, you better be making a lot of money per hour for it to make sense, because you want to spend time with people that are important to you. I think there's a misconception in the market for some people that are in this business for a short time that rates are going to go back to 3%. I don't think they're ever going back to 3%. If they go down to 5%, that would be great. Spending time with your kids, with your spouse, grandchildren, to me is infinitely more valuable than any money you're going to get in exchange for it. If their rent is super cheap somewhere or in their parents' house, they can sit and wait. But if they need to be somewhere else, then they will buy. I think AI might be changing things because people have gone to Google for a long time. And there's a reason why.
Welcome back to the REM podcast. My name is Noah, and today we have
Michael Pinter.
Michael, thank you for coming on. You know, I know we've known each other for a long time, and I'm really excited to hear more about just your backstory and what you're doing in New York. I'm curious, what drew you to real estate?
Was working in the same mortgage company for 17 years, from 1997 to 2013. That company is still around, by the way. A lot of mortgage companies that I was aware of at that time after 2008, 9 were not around. And I saw a lot of investors making a lot of money, you know, after 2008. Some were making money even before 2008. And I even started investing because it was crazy easy to get loans. And then started realizing that I think I want to start focusing more on real estate, especially when after the crash, it got really overregulated. The business got very different and it became very annoying for me. So I said, I got to get out of here.
Awesome. Cool. And what does your business look like today?
So today I am marketing direct to seller, which I didn't do the first 4 years I was in business. I started at 2017, closing between 3 and 5 deals a month. Half the deals I close, I wholesale. The other half I close on. Most of those I wholesale, which means I do no work or minimum work to them. And then a decent percentage, unfortunately, I still rehab. When I first started the first 4 years, I wasn't marketing direct to seller. I was buying everything at auctions or from bank-owned realtors. And I gut renovated every house. That's what I did for 4 years. And then in 2017, I started realizing the two parts of the business that I hate are dealing with contractors and dealing with building departments, especially around here where every block is a different building department you have to deal with. So I decided that I really want to buy cheaper, and by marketing direct to sellers, I can do that. And I really would love to get to zero construction. I will never get to zero construction, but like I usually try to avoid the major renovations, but I still end up stuck with them on occasion.
Gotcha. Are you keeping any of them, or you're mostly like fixing?
I have a couple of buy and holds, but like ones where I can it's a legal one family. I can get it changed to a 2-family. I can extract value somehow. It's very hard in the New York area to be cash flow positive on like a single family, almost impossible, because the price points are very high. So your mortgage payment's high and the taxes are very high. It's also difficult if you have a 1-tenant property, because in New York, if somebody stops paying, it takes a very long time to get them out. So I like multi-families, or at least 2 units, and I'm interested in buying some more buy and holds outside of New York, where eviction will be easier and the numbers work better.
Gotcha. I know you're in a couple different markets. What's the main difference between, let's say, Florida or Texas to New York?
Okay, so I wouldn't say there's one main difference. I would say it's like a different planet. And I think people don't even understand that. In 49 states, when a buyer meets a seller and says, I'd like to buy your house for X dollars, and the seller says yes, the buyer can slip a contract across the table, sign it, and you are now in contract, and the seller is contractually obligated to sell you the property. In New York, it doesn't work like that. The transaction really takes place not between a buyer and a seller, but between a seller's attorney and a buyer's attorney. The contract gets generated by the seller's attorney. So when I meet a seller and we agree on a price, the next question is, do you have an attorney to draw up the contract? And because of that changes everything, obviously. But that's not even one of the most shocking differences. Standard EMD, earnest money deposit, that you give on contract in New York is 10% of the purchase price. I'm buying something for $400,000. They're going to expect me to give a deposit of $40,000. It gets worse. There is no inspection contingency period in New York. So there is no way out of a contract in New York. I have every single contract I've ever gone into, I had to close on or I had to assign. The way inspections work in New York, because people go, how does that work? And this is because of attorneys, is that the attorney doesn't want to bother writing up a contract until the inspection is done. So when we agree on a price, let's say when I'm selling a retail property and the buyer agrees, he does the inspection then. If he wants any repairs done, it's put in a rider to the contract. So there are no contingencies when I buy a property ever. And when I sell a property, usually there's only a mortgage contingency if they don't get approved for financing. But there is no inspection period where I can go into contract, try and find a buyer if I want to wholesale it. And then if I can't, just say to the guy, sorry. So most people, when they hear that, can't believe it, especially with the EMDs that we have to give. Now, I don't always give 10% EMD. I can very often negotiate it down. I'm going into contract today on something where I'm giving $5,000, even though the purchase price is $600,000. But it's a very complicated place. And most newbies who are looking online and listening to some guru try it in New York and it just doesn't work. Now, unless they get some seller who's completely unsophisticated, but it's very, very rare. So those are the differences in New York. And I think it makes it very, very, very different in New York. When I first got to Investor Fuel 6 or 7 years ago, I got up on stage and I was like, I don't know how to deal with it takes so long and the attorneys and the deposits. And everybody looked at me like I had 4 heads. I was the only guy from New York. And I quickly realized I'm the only guy with these problems. These are not problems that you have in the other 49 states. So that is the difference in New York.
That's crazy.
I've been on podcasts where people thought I was joking, but I promise everything I just said is true.
Yeah, especially since how high prices are in New York.
Correct.
Yeah, wow.
There are certain advantages to New York. If maybe I can tell you some of those. So,
Yeah.
okay. So because it's very hard to get into contract, it is impossible for the seller to get out of contract. So there is no contract fall through unless there's a title issue. So that's good. Sellers cannot back out of a contract. The first deal I ever wholesaled in 2017 was for over $100,000 assignment fee. And the guy was a really angry seller. And I asked my attorney, I'm like, this guy is going to see how much I'm making and flip out. He goes, he can be pissed off, but he's got no other options. He's got to sell it to you. So, and because they're always represented by an attorney, so I've had people call me and go, I changed my mind, or I want more money. And I say, just speak to your attorney. And when they do, they usually call me back and ask me when we can close. That's an advantage. Also, the assignment fees and the profits are usually bigger because the price points are higher. And there really is insatiable demand in New York, right? Because there's so much going on. You know, if somebody closes a factory, it's not going to change it. There's really rentals and properties, nothing sits. There was really almost no, I mean, the median price in Long Island has gone up crazy numbers over the last few years. Like it just hasn't gone down. So I don't know if it's going to stay, but there really is almost insatiable demand for rentals and purchases where we are.
Jeez. Yeah, it seems like it might be a different planet for sure.
It's different. It's like a different planet. It really is. And what's hard is that I have a team and in New York, really things move slow, but outside of New York, things move fast. If you're not really on top of it, you're going to lose the deal. And it's hard sort of training them. Like if this is a deal in Florida, you better really jump on it. In New York, you have more time.
Yeah, that's very interesting for sure. I definitely did not know that about New York. That is kind of cool that they can't back out though. I mean, that is nice.
You really can't. No way out unless both sides agree.
What would you say is the why behind what you do?
I like building things. So for me, it's like building a business. You know, when they say when you want to figure out what your purpose is, a couple of things you can do is you can think about the things in your life that you just lose track of time. So when I'm like building something, even like furniture from IKEA or a toy for my grandchild, I lose track of time. So I think I like building, and building a business is my why. Not even to leave it, but I mean, it'll be nice. But to me, it's building something up, and that's what really resonates with me.
Want to get motivated sellers that nobody knows about? Introducing 10x TV. If you want to create credibility in your market, find deals that nobody else knows about, and crush your competition, you need to check into TV commercials. It is the new buzz in the real estate investing industry since we introduced it several years ago. I've been using TV commercials myself for the last 12 years and it's absolutely crushed it. So if you want to learn how to get on TV and to do something that little to no people are doing right now, go to claimmymarket.com. Again, that's claimmymarket.com. We usually only work with 2 investors per market, so if you're interested, reach out to us and book a call to see if you can claim your market before anybody else does. Now back to the show.
I know a lot of people get into real estate to have time freedom and enjoy life and really just be able to enjoy. What would you say is the biggest component to having a work-life balance? I know you have a lot of kids and grandkids. What would you say is the main part for yourself to kind of take a balance in that?
So time freedom is a big deal for me. Like I worked for the same company for 17 years and they were pretty flexible, but still I had to ask permission if I wanted to go somewhere. So I left that 2013. So now we're 12 years later. Time freedom is amazing, right? Not asking somebody permission when you want to go. I have 3 out of 4 of my grandchildren are in Los Angeles, and my wife and I see them once a month. So either we fly out there or they're coming into us. So To me, it's a big deal. I think that family has to come first. If you told me if I could trade X amount of time with my family and make more money, I probably would take time with my family. I see people, tons of people, clear workaholics, a lot of people in my neighborhood, very successful people, right? Some are professionals like doctors or lawyers, but they are never home. And to me, it's not worth it. I would never trade places with them. I think that if you are selling your time, you better be making a lot of money per hour for it to make sense, because you want to spend time with the people that are important to you. I mean, how emotional we want to get, but like my father died when I was 8, and my mother died when I was 30. I thought I was old at 68 because my father died when he was 49. But there are people who die all the time. A guy in my block just dropped dead this week, and nobody dies saying, "I wish I spent more time at the office." Right? Spending time with your kids, with your spouse, grandchildren, to me is infinitely more valuable than any money you're going to get in exchange for it.
Yeah, my mom's dad died when she was 9, so definitely has always had that family, need to be around family, which is I'm happy it was instilled in me for sure. What do you think the main problem that you're trying to solve is when you started your business?
When I started my business or now? Because when I was starting my business, I don't even the first 4 years I was in business, I didn't even understand the concept of direct to seller marketing. I don't know what wholesalers were. They sounded like knuckle dragging Neanderthals who tried to make a few dollars without providing any value. I didn't understand how it worked. I remember in 2007 when I started realizing that I have to start marketing direct to seller, it changed the whole way I look at the business, and for the better. And also realizing around that time that I don't need to. I thought erroneously that when I started buying properties in 2013 that I needed to do everything to the house. The house had to be perfect because my house had to be the best house. It was a reflection of me, and nobody should be able to say no to my house, which was incredibly short-sighted and foolish, right? Because there was a million reasons why people could say no to the house, even if it was perfect, and it wasn't plenty of times. But even if it was, they may not like the location, they may not like the layout, they may not like the people won't buy your house sometimes because of feng shui. It's not facing the right direction, or the address is different. There's a million reasons why somebody cannot buy your house. What it took me a while to learn was that what I was doing, this is a mistake I think a lot of people make, is I was making decisions about what work to do in the house based on what I liked or what a designer told me or what somebody told me. And what I realized after years, took me years, is that the one thing that I did that I thought was great could be the first thing that the buyer undid. So for example, I bought a lot of Cape Cod homes, a lot of them here, and I used to make them open concept, right? Because I got into this business from HGTV, from Flip or Flop. I wanted to be Tarek Musa. So I made open concept first floors. And like what I started realizing is a lot of these buyers, the first thing they were doing is putting up walls. Like one guy said, I'm putting up a wall right here. And it was a wall that I took down and paid like $12,000 to put up a header. And I'm like, you're putting up a wall? He goes, yeah. The one guy I remember was in there, and he goes, I cook with curry. I don't want to stink up the house. I have to close the kitchen. Another guy told me I want more cabinets. I'm going to put up. And what I started realizing is that the most important thing that I thought was important about the house could be the one thing that a buyer undoes right away. So then I started rethinking, and I'm like, let me do as little work as possible. Let me see how the market responds to it. And then I can always do more work, right? So I remember I had a property where I didn't do the kitchen. It was on the border, and people were telling me they don't like the kitchen. So then I redid the kitchen. You could always do more work later. So that was the initial problem I had, was figuring out what work to do. At this point, I've gotten much better at that. I really do no to little work if I think it's sellable at a price that I can make a profit. I'm buying properties where I can make a decent profit, hopefully without doing much work to them. My issue today is really still getting leads and converting leads. That's my issue today. Getting enough leads and converting leads.
What trends are you seeing right now in real estate? I know a lot of people are looking at interest rates or looking at, something specific in time right now. What do you think? What are you seeing right now?
So New York has always been much less interest rate sensitive. I don't know if it's just the fact that we have higher price points and people have more money. I don't know what it is, but I remember when I was in the mortgage business, I did loans at 9%, and I love doing them at 9% because I knew when the rates dropped, I'd refinance them at 7 and then refinance them at 5. I think there's a misconception in the market for some people that are in this business for a short time that rates are going to go back to 3%. I don't think they're ever going back to 3%. If they go down to 5%, that would be great. So on a macro level, are there people who are on the sidelines now because they can't qualify at the current rates? For sure, there are some. The question is, at what point do they get back, right? I think rates are now getting closer to 6, which is good. But, there are people, honestly, who believe they're just going to sit and wait until rates go down below 4%. And I think that's never going to happen. So the market in New York has been very strong. I see a tiny, tiny softening at the highest level. But the market in Florida and Texas, where I also operate, has definitely softened. Especially El Paso got hit in 2022 when the rates went up. And a lot of Florida is seeing a lot of price reductions now and the time on market going up. So I think, no, and I get a lot of emails from wholesalers, and I would say for years, I never saw one price reduction. And now I would say 75 to 80% of the properties that I get, if I just sit and wait, the price gets reduced. So I definitely see that going on. I don't know how long the market's going to go down for. I don't know how much it's going to go down. Anybody who tells you they do is full of crap, but definitely softer in the markets in Florida that I've seen, and definitely softer in El Paso for sure. And when I speak to a lot of people, because I'm part of Investor Fuel, which you come to also, and people are saying the same thing. Well, the only thing I'm seeing lately in New York is that it's taking much longer for deals to sell, which is incredibly annoying. And when I speak to other people, they say it's the same thing going on. I don't know why it is. It might just be my anecdotal experiences on 7 or 8 deals that just didn't close quickly. But that's the only thing I'm seeing firsthand that I can talk about, really.
When it comes to rates, I'm a big like principal balance of like what it's gonna cost. I'd rather take a lower cost. For instance, I bought a Harley and it was like a 17% was the loan amount, but I got the bike for a really good deal, and I knew I was gonna refi it later for 7%. I did it, it was $24,000 bike, and I got it for 19 grand, and then I refied it 2 months later. What's your thoughts on higher interest, lower, actual purchase price, and then refi later?
So when it comes to 30-year mortgage interest rates, there's no way to know where they're going to go. Are there people who are thinking like you thought that I don't mind paying 6.5 or 7% now because I'll refinance later? Sure. There's no way to really know if it's going to go down or if it's going to go up. So everybody's attitude towards debt is different. Now with housing, it's different, right? Nobody needs a Harley, but somebody needs to move to New York because their job is moving them there, or somebody needs to move in there. They need to move in there. And I found usually that people will suck it up and pay a higher rate, thinking exactly what you're thinking. Eventually I can refinance it. The truth is, as someone who's in the mortgage business for 7 years, refinancing, especially in New York, is crazy expensive. There's mortgage tax in New York. There's closing costs are ridiculous. I get 100% financing on my purchases, and I usually have to still bring $30,000 to $35,000 in closing costs to the table. So that's insane. So some people think of it that way for sure, and some people are like, I don't know, I can wait. It depends really what their situation is, right? If their rent is super cheap somewhere, or in their parents' house, they can sit and wait. But if they need to be somewhere else, then they will buy.
Yeah, that's fair. For someone new coming into real estate, what's one piece of advice you wish you knew when you started?
I wish I would have started marketing direct to sellers earlier. I didn't understand how that works. I think marketing is really a momentum-based process that people don't realize. And very often, I mean, we see even experienced people in our industry dabbling in a marketing channel, going in it for 3 months and saying it didn't work. It's like, especially in New York, I need a year and a half to even see if the thing works. So I think you need to pick a marketing budget that you can stick with for at least a year or more, and then commit to it. I can't tell you how many people say, well, I tried direct mail for 2 months and it didn't work. Like that doesn't even make sense. And I'm sure it's the same with TV, right? It's something you have to sort of let take hold, and it builds on itself. So my advice would be, get some money together for marketing. And if you have 30 grand, don't spend $10,000 a month for 3 months, right? Spend $3,000 a month for 10 months, or $2,500 a month for 12 months on whatever your plan is, and do that. And again, people that I respect in the business, who have businesses bigger than me, who have successful businesses, I hear them coming out to Investor Fuel and saying, I started X marketing channel and it sucked. And then when we ask them, how long did you go do it? They say 3 or 4 months. And I'm like, how can you know? You can't know. You need more time.
Yeah, it could have been seasonal, could have been, yeah, a whole bunch of stuff.
Anything can happen in 3 months. Like even marketing channels that work for me can have 3 months where they're not so great. So that may be the 3 months you picked, right? There's so many factors involved.
Oh, yeah. What are you doing for marketing right now?
So I'm doing a lot of pay per lead, right, with a few vendors. That's where I buy somebody else's pay per click or SEO leads. I have a cold calling service that I use, and I'm still doing direct mail.
Okay. Which one's the best for you right now?
As direct mail has been pretty consistent. It just takes a long. The cash conversion cycle in New York is, if I told you what it is, you'd have a heart attack. It takes forever. So you need to commit for a long time. And so you can get a deal now. You can make money on a deal now where you got the lead 25 months ago. So that's most consistent.
Gotcha. Yeah, cash conversion cycle's huge. I mean, that's one thing that we do see with, in TV in general, is just quicker, but direct mail is really strong in most markets. I know a lot of people in investor feel it's like, there'll be a handful of people that it doesn't work. But again, some of them try it for 3, 4 months. Some of them give it a year, and it doesn't work. And
There are markets I've tried where it didn't work. But like younger people don't understand it, right? Because they're like, I don't read my mail and I throw out everything that comes. But most of the people we buy from are older than me or my age and older, and they read the mail. So the mail works. It's a physical thing. It sits there. You can get calls 3 years later on it, and it works. Again, at some point, maybe where the young people of today become the older people, 30 years or 40 years, maybe direct mail will be less effective. But until then, it works. Old people read mail, and it's something that shows up in their mailbox.
oh yeah, 100%. How do you see real estate investing evolving over the next few years or changing in any way? Do you see it changing in any way?
I think AI might be changing things because people have gone to Google for a long time. And there's a reason why Google and Facebook and all these major internet companies are spending billions of dollars. I think I read somewhere that Facebook poached a guy and paid him $200 million to come to them. Like, what the hell is that? The answer is that so much of what we do is going to be based on AI. So whereas I Googled now, sell my house fast in Long Island, I may be going to ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or any of these other ones and saying, who should I sell my house to? And they're going to give one answer, right? It's different than Google. Google gives you a whole list. AI is going to give one answer. And there are people who are going to say, okay, like I'm going there. So getting to be that answer on AI is something that I'm looking into now, and how to do it. I'm not 100% sure. And the truth is, even if I focused all my attention on it, that could change in 5 minutes because these things change just like Google changes all the time. But I think that AI as an answer tool is going to change the way we do real estate. I don't know if any other part of real estate is really going to change. I mean, we've been saying that there's no more agents because you don't need them. And on some level, that might be true, but I don't see that going away. This NAR settlement a couple of years ago, or a year ago, really didn't change it much. Just changes what shows up on the MLS, but everything is pretty much the same. There's still a buyer's agent and a seller's agent on most transactions. So I don't know what else could happen. Like AI cannot really show you a house. AI is going to get better. I'm sure it's going to get better, but I don't know if it's going to change any other part of real estate. Maybe it'll affect title. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a way for AI to get title quicker or better than we get it now. But like some of the counties I work in, like you still have somebody to walk in there and look at microfiche and look at some crap and sit there, on bullshit systems that are 100 years old. Like AI is not going to be able to do that on maybe on newer counties where everything's automated. But the truth is, if it's automated, then the title companies get you the title quick too. Title in New York takes forever. New York's, I mean, again, I could spend 7 hours just on why New York's different. But New York is the only state where you have to run title, and then you have to run departmental searches, which means housing and building search and a tax search. They're done separately from another company. That company goes to the county and gets that information. So like in certain towns here, that could take 3 weeks. So you don't get title for a month. Like that's just the way it is, right? If you want title in California, you can get it in 2 days most places. So maybe AI will help with that. I don't know. But I think AI is going to change some of how we market for sure.
Yeah. I'm such a people person and I'm such a communicator. Like when I dial a number for a business and I hear that it's AI picking up, like I hate it to my bones.
I hate it too.
And I had a feeling, but like a lot of people are saying that AI is going to take over jobs, take over, sales, take over. I'm such a believer in that people want to be sold by people. Would you agree with that? Or do you think that there's a possibility that AI does take over like some of those key roles?
So AI stands for artificial intelligence. It's getting better. Like if you listen to AI agents now versus 9 months ago, they are light years ahead. So if we can project 9 months later, you may not even know if you're on the phone with AI. So I think as it stands now, I can't stand it. I know immediately, but I think it's going to improve. So I don't know. If it really gets a lot better, then you may not care. It drives me bananas also, but like it only drives me bananas because I feel like I'm not going to get the answer to my question. If I really felt like this artificial intelligence agent could really answer my question, maybe I'd be happier than waiting on hold for someone to pick up someone working in her trailer with her kids crying in the background. Like I get that too, right? When that happens, but at least I think they're going to help me. But if the AI agent can really help me, maybe it's better. I don't know. It's not there yet. It's definitely not there yet.
Yeah, that's fair. When it comes to the word success, everyone kind of labels it differently, talks about it differently, thinks about it differently. What does success mean to you and what are you trying to get to?
as I said before, time freedom is a huge deal, right? Me being not having to ask somebody permission to go to California or go on a conference is part of what I define as success. I think success is also, to me, watching a business grow and watching it improve and making money while we're helping people, right? I think a lot of people people that are not in our business look at our business as some predatory. We steal from widows and orphans, right? But we only get paid if we solve a problem. So if we can solve a seller problem and get paid, sometimes very, very well, I think that to me, that's the ultimate success, right? If you work for a company, even a major company, and even get paid tons of money, it's very hard to see the results of what you do as if some small cog in a wheel. But we can see the results right away, right? When the seller thanks us profusely for helping them, like sometimes they even cry that they got out of a situation that they didn't want to be in, and then we make $80,000 also. Like, to me, like, how can anything get better than that? So
Yeah.
I like that a lot, when we get to help people and get paid to help people.
Oh yeah, win-win situation for sure. Who has been the biggest influence or, mentor for you in the space?
So my switch in 2017 from buying at auction to marketing direct to seller happened from a Brad Chandler. Brad Chandler, I had a call with him at that point, and he had a huge influence on me. That really changed the whole course of my business. But since then, I haven't had one major influence. I'd say as a whole, it would be the Investor Fuel family, right? I almost never miss a meeting in 6.5 years, 7 years. The only two I missed were both because they happened right when each of my daughter's weddings were. But I get a lot out of going to the meetings, talking to people, and I think it's had a big influence on me, just listening to people talk and talking to people when I'm there.
That's awesome. And investor field might not be the right fit for everybody, but what would you say to the people that don't want to join a community, no matter what the community is, like just joining a community?
I think it's a really lonely business if you're not. And when I started, I had a partner. We broke up before COVID, but the benefits I get from the community there's a few of them, right? So the first is I find it very therapeutic, right? Because I'm having problems. I find that a lot of people are having the same problems. That makes me feel better because it's not my fault. I remember one of the first meetings I went to, I was doing PPC and it fell off a cliff, and I thought it was my provider. And then 12 people got up and said PPC fell off a cliff around the same time. So I knew it was a Google thing. That made me happy. Also, people that had your problem and solved it is tremendous, right? You find a way to solve your problem, but also being able to help people, right? Finding someone who has a problem that you solved and being helping them is good. So for me, it really makes being a real estate investor a much happier place to be, and not just banging my head against the wall. You see, I bought a heavy bag here to hit. I got that in a house. I took over that heavy bag as I was taking it. But it's a frustrating business, right? It's a simple business, but it's not an easy business. And there's a lot of days where I punch that bag pretty hard. So having a community, and I don't just get benefits from the community when I'm at the quarterly meetings. I go to some of the other meetings too. I probably meet them 5 or 6 times a year. But the fact that I can get on the phone and call someone and say, I remember you talked about this. What do you do here? Is a big deal. Even the Facebook group is helpful. I find when I post things there, people are helpful. So having people to bounce problems and ideas off of is very, to me, is really good for your mental health, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. I love the punch and pack, by the way. That's awesome.
I always wanted a heavy bag. I always wanted one. And then I bought a house and it was in the basement. And I said, you're not taking that, right? He goes, no. I go, okay, great. That thing's heavy. I had to carry it into my truck, and then I had to have somebody install it, but it was worth it. I love it. Hitting it makes me very happy.
I love that. Where can people learn more about you and connect with you?
So I'm all over social media, YouTube. My channels are called Finding Discounted Property because I do coach, and that's really my niche, is helping people find discounted property. But you could find me, Michael Pinter, all over the internet. If anybody wants my office number, I can give it out. It's easy to call me. It's 516-209-2010. Anybody can call me. And I think on all my YouTube videos, my office phone number is there and my email's there. I'm very easy to find if you Google Michael Pinter real estate, or even Michael Pinter.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Michael, I appreciate you for coming on. Thank you guys all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.